Keep things the same. I said, don't change everything. You change one little thing, you're going to change everything. Be consistent in that so that you can see what the little changes make. We're going to start at the end of this, which is hot. This is the result of not one little change. I can't even count the change. Okay, let's go to the beginning and see where we start. Okay, we're going to change one little thing. And the one little thing was to start the dough at night, and so then it could do the bulk fermentation overnight. I wouldn't be tired, and I could get it to like a 12-hour fermentation. That was the goal. So we get the starter, we put it in, we add the water. Oh, I had like half a cup of leftover oatmeal. So rather than throwing out, I said, well, I'll throw it in the bread. What's it gonna hurt? Change one little thing. Add the little bit of oatmeal, and then we add a little bit of spelt flour, which we had done on the last loaf as well. And then I'm gonna put in the daily bread stone ground organic flour, and something's not right. This is too liquidy. And I realized, okay, if I had added dry oatmeal to this, it would count as part of the flour. But it was already cooked, so it had already absorbed the flour or the water in that process. So literally what I was doing was adding more water, not more flour. So then, okay, so I compensated with my addition of flour to adjust with those numbers. And then it was still too wet. I'm like, what's going on? This isn't right. And then I realized that my scale had once again changed units on me, and I was not measuring grams equally because it had switched numbers. And I'm like, oh. So I thought, okay, how do I adjust this? What do I do here? How am I gonna figure this out? Like what? And then I realized that I was being forced into get to know your dough. My long-term goal is to be able to make this sourdough bread by knowing the sight and the feel and the smell of the dough, to know when is it ready for the stretch and folds, when is it ready for the bulk fermentation, when is it ready for shaping, when is it ready for baking, etc. It's my goal. And I have been very focused on getting those measurements and everything consistent. I was so focused on that, so caught up in that I wasn't looking at the senses and the sight and the smell. Like I was paying attention to it, but according to the recipe, to the numbers. So I added a little bit of oatmeal. I had to compensate with the flour. Forget the scales. What feels right? So then I got it to a point where it was forming a dough, not too thick, not too thin, the whole Goldilocks thing, getting it just right. So I got it formed into that. Then I did the stretch and folds once an hour, building that strength of dough and letting the yeast and the lactic acids do their thing. Then I put it in bulk fermentation overnight. So this morning, I looked at it and I had put it into a large measuring cup so I could see the measurements and seen that it is doubled. Didn't have a great big bubbly top. Wasn't like, whoa, look at this expanding out of the jar. But it had doubled according to this measurement piece. That was kind of smart. So I put it into my Banneton, and I said, I don't want to wait all day. Like I'm a morning person. I want to bake this morning. What do I do? Well, I'd heard that you can put it into the freezer for half an hour, and that'll firm it up enough so that you can do the scoring of it into the next phase. That's what I did. Change number, what is that? What are we at now? 5, 6 different changes on this loaf bread. So I put it in the fridge or freezer for about 20 minutes. I brought it out. It was kind of holding its shape. I did the scoring. It was kind of holding its shape. And I baked it as usual. And you saw my loaf of bread. It looks good. Now for the taste test.